The purpose of a fire safety standard is to protect people and property. By setting a high standard for a material or product, we have the assurance of providing the first line of defence against fire and an adequate amount of time for people to escape its consequences. Typically, there is a regulatory requirement that a material or product will not catch fire easily, or, if it does ignite, that it will not spread fire quickly and not contribute significantly to fire growth. To illustrate how a fire safety standard works, we need to first consider what happens during the course of a fire. There are 3 stages relating to the early minutes of any fire. These are ignition, fire growth, that is, flame spread and heat release rate, and finally flashover. The course of a real-life fire depends on various factors, namely the nature of the combustibles, the ignition source, the fire load, the ventilation conditions, and the spatial arrangement of the fuel load within the room. It is practically impossible to predict precisely how a specific fire will behave, given the potentially infinite combination of interactions between these variables. But what we can say with any certainty is that in terms of life safety, the first few minutes after ignition are the most critical. If the time that it takes for a product to ignite can be increased, or its rate of flame spread can be slowed, or its rate of heat release decreased, then the time available for escape or for firefighting is increased. To extend the available time is therefore the objective of any fire safety standard. Essentially, the principle of any fire test comes down to setting fire to something and measuring how it behaves. The objectives are therefore to quantify one or more of the fire characteristics relating to the product being tested. The primary test method for combustible materials used in buildings in Europe is the single burning item test, EN 13823. Here we can see untreated particle board being tested. Its fire performance is assessed in terms of its time to ignition, its flame spread, and whether it produces flaming droplets or falling debris. But more importantly, it determines the rate at which it generates heat and smoke and the total amount generated. These parameters are then used to rank products in terms of a Euro class, which can be anything from a B to an F. Class A relates to non-combustible products. The SBI is used in conjunction with a small match-scale flame test to give an overall classification. Together, these tests provide a high degree of control from a fire safety perspective, since they consider a product's performance based on a majority of the parameters which determine how quickly a fire involving that product will become untenable. However, at the end of the day, the only true fire performance determination is that resulting from an actual fire. As fire safety experts, we are simply working to try to ensure that in a real fire there is sufficient time available for persons in its vicinity to escape without harm.